We were supposed to have very tight elections in Israel, and in fact, according to the latest polls before the election, Benjamin Netanyahu's party, Likud, was supposed to lose by a little bit. Now, they were likely to form a coalition anyway. It's a parliamentary system. That's how it works. And there was going to be overall more likely to be votes in the right-wing direction, split up by different parties. But it looked like the Zionist Union, which is a little bit more left-leaning in Israel, was going to gain more votes. They were slated to pick up about 2 more parliamentary seats than Likud, and so they would have the first chance to form a coalition. That was before the election. Then the election happened, and that's not how it went down at all. It turns out, in a fairly stunning and decisive victory, Benjamin Netanyahu will be Israel's next prime minister. So this will be his 4th term. If he serves out the entirety of the term, he will be the longest leader Israel has ever had, including their founder. It's amazing. If I was Israeli, I wouldn't be overly proud of that. It's not a great face to put out to the rest of the world, as we'll explain in a second. So how did the actual results go down? Likud actually won 30 seats, and Zionist Union only won 24 seats. It turns out not only did the Zionist Union not win, it wasn't even that close. 30-24 is a pretty decisive victory for Likud. Now, I wish it wasn't, but those are the facts, right? Now, let me give you the rest of the field, as there are many parties. The Joint Arab List, finally the Arab Israelis got together, ran in the elections, and they picked up 14 seats, and they're the 3rd largest party now in the Knesset. And then you've got Yesh Atid, Kulanu, which cares more about economic issues. It's interesting that they picked up a good number of seats. Beit Yehudi got 8, Shas got 7, United Torah Judaism got 6, Yisrael Beitenu got 6 as well, and then Meretz got 4 seats. So Netanyahu will have the first chance to form a coalition, and it appears that forming that coalition will be relatively easy, and he will repeat as a prime minister of Israel. Now, why is this problematic for people who care about peace? Well, because he largely said he's not interested, and he also made some disparaging comments about his own citizens, Israeli Arabs. He said on Tuesday when the election was happening, he wants to encourage people to vote. Of course, that makes sense. He wants his own side to vote, which is right-wing Israelis. That also makes sense. Now, here's where he went a little too far. He said, the right-wing government is in danger. Arab voters are coming out in droves to the polls. Now, remember, those are Arab Israelis. So it's as if the President of the United States said on election day, everybody watch out. Here comes the Asian voters. They're coming out in droves. We don't want them. Or Mitt Romney says, hey, all you white people, go out and vote because blacks are voting a lot, and obviously we don't want that. So obviously problematic. In fact, President Obama's spokesperson, Josh Earnest, says rhetoric that seeks to marginalize one segment of their population is deeply concerning, and it is divisive. Unfortunately, it is that divisive rhetoric that worked. He surged at the end when he started saying things that were even crasser and crasser. So he had intimated as we were heading towards the election and very strongly inferred that there will be no 2-state solution. His earlier statements in 2009 where he said he would negotiate and get a Palestinian state, he said did not apply anymore. They were not relevant anymore. And then right before the election, he made it abundantly clear when he said, quote, I think that anyone who moves to establish a Palestinian state and evacuate territory gives territory away to radical Islamist attacks against Israel. So there will be no Palestinian state. We will not be ceding any territory. And anyone who goes in that direction is actually with the radical Islamists who will be attacking Israel. So as harsh a comment as you could possibly have. So dreams of a 2-state solution, at least under Netanyahu, are gone. He will be the Israeli prime minister. Now, of course, in a parliamentary system, doesn't mean that he will necessarily serve out his full term. But as long as he's the prime minister, it is very clear that he has no intentions of ever ending the occupation. Now, isn't that amazing? He's basically saying, yes, we will occupy you indefinitely. And then they say the Palestinians are not a good partner for peace? Here he is declaring what, honestly, most of us already knew, but he refused to acknowledge, and the U.S. refused to acknowledge, which is that the right-wing government of Israel is not a partner for peace. They're not interested in that. So now they have staked their ground, and certainly they don't want a one-state solution where Arabs get the same vote as Israelis do, because if they did, then Arabs eventually might overwhelm the Jewish vote, and then you certainly wouldn't have a Jewish state, and you wouldn't have Israel as we have it today. So obviously Netanyahu doesn't mean, hey, I'd like to give complete freedom to the Palestinians so they could vote in our elections. It is very clear he does not want that. In fact, one of his former ministers in this race said that anyone who suggests, who is disloyal to the state, even the Israeli Arabs that are already citizens, that if they show any disloyalty, they should be beheaded. Now, to be fair, he is the leader of a different party within the parliamentary system, but he was in Netanyahu's former government. We'll see if he's in his current government after these elections. But your chances of peace under Netanyahu appear to be nil. So that is the current reality. The Israeli government saying the occupation will last as long as we are in power.